This is the Journey Podcast. We highlight the journeys of our guests, where they've been, where they are now, and where they are going. Let's join them on their journey. And welcome to the Journey Podcast. I am joined today, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Michaell Magrutsche. And he is just a unique guest, and I've been excited about this interview for quite a while now. And I think it's going to be a little bit different than the typical one, which I'm excited about. So I think strap in. This is the one to listen to today. Michaell is a passionate creativity and art researcher. He looks for art and creativity that creates true values for humans outside of any system. So he's a little bit different from me because I'm the electronics guy. I'm trying to build systems and stuff. And I like that. I like to talk to people who have a little bit different perspective on the world than me. I'm not going to try to dive into some big intro today. Michaell, how are you today? Tell us about you a little bit.
Awesome to see you, Nate. I'm doing good. Yes, and I think you have hit the nail on the head. The best discussions and the best conversations come when you come from different side of the world and life. And I couldn't fit in any systems. So I was a sick child. When I was 7, I got into school because I was sick at 7. I was then the next wall. I hit the next wall. I couldn't understand reading. I'm dyslexic and dysgraphic. So I couldn't even understand what they're saying. I couldn't comprehend it. And I still have a problem with when people talk about me, when I read stuff. We have no problem with humans, as you can see, but I have real problems to go through systems, to do stuff on my iPhone, on the computer. Even though I wrote 5 books, I have a hard time to understand. Once I understand it, I'm good. But I have to funnel it to my way of understanding. And because I hit the wall all the time, couldn't fit in, didn't have resume, couldn't build any resumes or whatever. So what I did, art was always my savior. It was always my. So when everything wasn't a rebel, I was a tutor. I had tutors and everything. I couldn't comprehend it. But when I listen to music or look at art or connected with art, I felt human. And I wasn't conscious at that time at that time, I wasn't conscious about that. I just did what we all did, right? We read comics, we listen to music, we go to the movies, and somehow that makes us feel good, right? I mean, it's just more extreme with me. For me, it was not just I feel good. I mean, okay, this is also a life. This is also what human life is. And I wasn't aware of that, obviously, because when you're aware, you don't, if you don't know, you don't know. And then when I was 30, I looked at all my resumes, what I did, and I did, fashion shows, DJ, advertising, everything was creative. And then and perhaps that's because of dyslexia, I deemed myself an artist. I said, I'm an artist. I mean, all my things are creative. I'm not waiting for the society, a system, or religion, or politics, or the art world to tell me that I'm an artist. I am an artist. And I've interviewed a lot of artists and know a lot of artists all over the world, and they all feel kind of weak when they say I'm an artist. Even the one that are extremely famous said, it's hard for me to call myself an artist, because it's bestowed on you by a system. If the system says you're an artist, you are. But if the system says tomorrow you're not an artist, you're not an artist. So I saw that subconsciously. I saw that influence of what the system can do to humanity, even though we created the system. No system ever gave birth to a human being. So what 5 years ago, I was so fed up that 97% of worldwide artists living on the poverty line. And I said, how the hell can that happen? Look at our world. Look at the technology. You come from technology.
Right.
Look at our world. How can the highest form of creativity, where it's not about, creating a new iPhone or creating a new Tesla car or whatever, but art is the one that there's no purpose. It's just coming in, having a conversation with your inspiration and manifesting that in the physical. And art is art, not creativity, but art is a manifestation of that conversation between the non-physical and the physical. And that's not spiritual or anything. That is just like you have an imagination, you want to do a podcast, that's your inspiration. That's
Right.
not physical. That's not
Right.
physical. So you're thinking, I'm going to make a special podcast about stories, right?
Right.
And you think that's a thought. Yeah, some say that's already physical, but then you may have to manifest it, so you can tangibly touch it. And then you did the podcast.
Right.
So I say that every human being has an inherent creative muscle to create, and we cannot not create, because even the laziest people says, oh, I want to move that couch there. I want to do this. So they are constantly creating. And humans are not lazy, because that's just a system term to keep people doing the jobs they don't like. But we are not lazy. We always think around, because I give you a good example. The CEO that works 60 hours, 80 hours a week, what does he do on the weekend? Tinkers on his car, tinkers in the garden, goes with his family and plays around. We always do, we always create, we always need to tinker. And I wouldn't say creative, but it's just, funneling around, or be with humans. That's what we do. And that's what gives us the balance, of being creative. It was a long introduction. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. I definitely appreciate you introducing that, and kind of leads to a number of questions. But I've been looking at your portfolio on your website as you were talking. So, um, you know, art, sometimes it hits people in different ways. That's kind of what I've had to learn about art. Like, it's kind of like, um there was a disparagement of art conversation in my background, in my culture. Like, well, if it's not like
You're
an
breaking
actual
up. You're
picture of a
breaking up, Nate.
oh, am I
Yeah,
apologize.
you were breaking up. Say it again. Just
Oh, I said in the background, in my background, we
yeah.
disparaged art that wasn't like, maybe a beautiful sunset or a building or a person. But started realizing, as I had to actually go look at art and say, I need to understand that this artist is bringing something of their world to me, and it's
Hmm.
really their imagination they're bringing to me. And I think that is what's so interesting about what you can do with art. And I don't know if are these paintings, or are the ones that are on your website I'm looking at
Paintings,
specifically. Tell me a
paintings.
little bit about those. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about what you paint and why you paint.
Okay.
Do that.
I'm dysgraphic. I'm
Okay.
dysgraphic. That means I cannot read my handwriting, and I have a hard hand-eye coordination. So sunsets are out,
Got it.
landscapes are out,
Okay.
portraits are out.
Okay.
So when somebody says, "Can you draw me this?" and I said, "No, I can't." And what I do usually is I have an imagination, like you say, I want to do a podcast. I say, oh my God, this red is unbelievable. And this combination of two colors is unbelievable. Let me try something. Then I take a canvas, or I do digital too. I do digital paintings too. But usually I take a canvas and then start with it. And it's funny, when I do music, I do the same thing. I get a rhythm or a song, and then I start with it, and then I fill it in. And from your own, and I think that's what your listeners should also, because it's about awareness. It's not about you must like Picasso. you don't like every human being. You're not hugging every human being and saying, I love you, you know?
No.
So you can be indifferent. You can say, that's not my cup of tea. And why is that not allowed in art? Because the art business want to sell you everything. So you need to honor art and bullshit. You can do whatever you want to do. If you like art and it moves you, then do it. But I have when I, you know, I'm very I'm involved more and more with PTSD. And when the soldiers they don't see, they don't hear, they have a limb gone. How can you get that soldier to do art? And I say, first, just search, listen. If you don't see, listen. If you don't hear, look at different. And whatever makes a feeling in you, creates a feeling, then dive into that kind of art, and just observe the art. And they feel already better from that. Just from that, it's a magic. I mean, it's insane. And I can tell you another thing of magic when you are healthy, like we all are. So when you are in a museum and you go to an opening, there's Republicans, Democrats, there's poor, rich, every gender, every sexuality. They all just mingle. And the funny thing is they don't even look at art. They don't look at the artwork. They just hanging out because art brings us always together. It makes us always human, because you can't just have analyze art. That's what, the moment you analyze art as good, bad, right, or wrong, and put it into a system, the moment you lose the feeling. Because then, if let's say you like a song, and all of a sudden they said, there should be an octave higher. There should be a different, and it destroys the experience.
Right. It's we try to systematize art.
Exactly.
I think is what I'm hearing you say.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes art, we try to make it it's music, or it's painting,
yeah.
or it's sculpting.
Yeah.
Art can be that there's an art to building a business. There's an art to mopping a floor. There's different ways to art, and we all have our art that we need to craft and get better at. And then the guy who's been mopping floors for 40 years is far better at it and has a far better way of doing it probably than me, who have no practice. And you don't want me to try to do that for you. I'm not very good at that. And I think I feel like that's the point you're getting at. And what I love about, this conversation is really look at what you're trying to do and be good at it. I mean, you're dysgraphic. So there's things that you're not going to be good at, and that's okay. And you're not going to be good at the same things that I'm good at. And I'll never probably, because I'm not even interested in painting like you are. Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so neat and so different with that. I'm though curious a little bit. We talk a lot of our guests about like careers and what they've done or what they're planning to do. How have you taken these? You've got some challenges that the people would say, and how have you overcome them and turned that into something where you can, I guess, function in the world? Because we all have those challenges. I think dysgraphic, dyslexic, like those are difficult challenges to overcome. And we meet people with, I've met people with far less challenges who just give up. So can you speak to overcoming some obstacles there and how you did that?
Yeah, I think first of all, Nate, we have to say that you're not conscious while you are. When you are in those, when you are in a crisis, you are not conscious. When you are living in a tiger cage, you just try to survive, right?
You're hitting those automatic responses.
And that's the more and more the world becomes like that, because it's more and more stress on us, because a static system versus our organic. We are human beings, and the being, what we described and what you said first. I'm good at this. You are not. I'm not even interested in what you do. That is exactly the point. The point is that yes, you are special, and your sense of living, why you are living, is to unveil what you're good at. It's not to find the business. It's finding what is fulfilling you, what is growing you, what gives you the most impact in humanity, not what makes you the best businessman. That is that's a system versus what is your human contribution. And that is the key. And for a beggar that hates to be a beggar, but his contribution to humanity is sitting on Fifth Avenue in New York and having people walk by, millions of people walk by, and they're thinking, I could end up like this. I could end up like a poor person. I could, oh my God, I hate that, the poor person. Oh my God, let me help this poor person and give him money. He affects more people than you and me, but that's his purpose. He just doesn't know it, And I think that's what I learned the hard way through always going to art, because in art, the world was fine. Art does not want anything other than being created. It doesn't say how fast. There's no system. There's no, our 24 hours is a system too. Mm-hmm. So art says, hey, whenever you're done, you're done. You decide when you're done. There is no done. There is no, you have to do this by this way. And that's what kept me alive. Nate, this is absolutely what kept me alive. If I wouldn't see this other world, the art world, which that's why I'm so adamant about art being a superpower. It's that feeling. You don't have to, you take your time, and you don't have to fit to everyone. Not everybody has to like it. What you just create, art wants to be created and exposed. If you do something and you show that to your kid or to your wife or whatever, that's enough. You don't have to have 100,000 listeners, followers or whatever. And what we see now anyway, those followers are not correct. I mean, they said 8 of 10 Twitter followers are bots.
Right.
Google admits that every fifth hit or like is only a human. So what? And you don't need 10,000 people. You need one person. That, like you don't need 10,000 lovers. You get one person that you love, and you'll be with that for time or forever, and that's it.
That sounds overwhelming, anyways.
Exactly. We don't want to be overwhelmed.
Right.
We could have now 10,000 people all talking at the same time. That wouldn't be great. Just slow it down, bring it to 2. And this is what I say, that podcasting is a superpower too.
Yes.
I define through art, I've defined 3 superpowers. Creativity first. Obviously, we wouldn't have this world. Anybody that says, oh, no, it's not creativity, I said, look at this world. Everything is creative. And there's that craziness that 97% of artists are poor worldwide. The second superpower is dialogue, healthy dialogue, what we're having right now. And the third one is adaptation. We adapt to systems that systems can function. If I would freak out right now, you would innate, even though you don't know me, if you know me, then you have a system, right? But if you don't know me and I freak out right now, you know innately how to handle that. If somebody gets on the street and calls you something, you know how to handle this. If somebody attacks your wife, you know what to do. Innate. You know innate pretty much what to do when something happens. Your child has never fallen. Your child falls, you know exactly what to do. Yeah. And we don't trust that. We don't trust our humanity, that we are innate. We know what to do. So we think everything is knowledge. Oh, how are you going to raise a child? How you do this? How you do that? Our education system is only 100 years old. I just talked to another guy, and he had a family with 14 kids in Brazil, and they had one person that taught them all. They had a neighbor that taught them all. They lived in the boonies, 14 people, and they're all successful, all 14. They never had a regular, and that was 100 years ago, of course, but they never had another education. I didn't go into education. It was 50 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's it's neat how you say that, you have to push. I think we have to, like anything else, it's what you put into it is what you get out of it as well. You
Yeah,
talk about,
yeah,
even my story, if you look at my education,
yeah,
I shouldn't be here,
exactly.
by
Yeah,
normal standards.
yeah,
And I think that's really maybe the we're kind of beating around that point a little bit, but like it sounds like, people try to put you into normal and you were like, why do I have to be normal when I can be me? And I
yeah,
think like anything else. So it does bring a question to my mind, because no matter what we do, we live in this system called this
yeah.
world. We live in
We
this
have to.
system called the United
Yeah,
States, or the
yeah,
world economy. Um,
exactly.
how do you make a living, Michael? How do you do
I
that?
don't, not much.
Not
I'm
much.
living on the edge because I don't fit in.
Hmm.
That's I'm living now, but I was 3 times homeless almost
Wow.
because I couldn't fit in because art doesn't sell. All this hype that you hear about art, you hear only about Warhol and people that are dead or people that are think you don't hear that. So I always work on the edge. I push the boundaries until I hit the wall. But in that, I've written 5 books. My 6th book is almost ready for living outside of systems, because we need systems. Of course, we need systems. I'm not saying we think, but we have lost ourselves in systems because look at nature. Look at nature. And by the way, system. You said what's normal. No system can define what's normal.
Correct.
They all say be normal, but no system can define what normal is. Because in nature, the elephant is not worth more than the ant. You are valuable because you exist. And nobody can say, oh, humans are not nature, a part of nature. Yes, we are a part of nature. And if we were higher than nature, then we could live without nature, but we can't. And nature can live very well without us. We have destroyed ourselves 7 times. The Mayans and all the old civilization have destroyed ourselves. And so we are part of nature. And in nature, there's nothing extra. There's nothing to be discarded. Scientists continuously, they think, oh, this fungus is just worth nothing. And then they find out this fungus is 3 miles underneath the roots in Canada. Then science found out, so there's no like they said, what they said, the appendix is nature. It's crazy. You can take the appendix out, the tonsils out. Who cares it? A gallbladder, you can just take it out. Nature doesn't make mistakes. I'm sorry, because no system created nature or humans. So when you get that, then you say, what is my part here? Where is that part, like the ant or the elephant? What is my part here that I contribute to the whole, to the whole human weave? Because also science says more and more, there is, when you're born, you have an ability that is better than anybody of this world. 97% of people have an ability that is better than anybody else. After school, because you get system that you can integrate in the system, you get system defined. It's reverse. There's only 3% gifted and 97 are quote unquote normal. So it starts with 97% have a unique gift where they can contribute. They would like it. It's not that they hate it. Oh, I'm the best janitor. I hate it. No, you would like it because you would be the best freaking janitor ever. And you could contribute, and everybody would say, hey, teach us to be a janitor. Teach us to how do we do this. So you would be a superstar. And everybody would be a superstar. And then I go to, let's say you are a technology. I would say, hey, Nate, how to do this? I know you know. And then you know it. And you have fun even creating it, the solution, because you know you're part of it. And without you, the vehicle doesn't run as well. It's like putting the right oil in, right?
Right.
In the car. And
Right.
that's what we need to get, that we are inclusive. Like in nature, we're not all separate and can be without nature and can be without this and that. No, we all, if you want to feel power, which I think you feel already because you explained to me, the power in podcasts. When
Right.
you can, you know that you can do a better episode when you have a good discourse, not when you talking or just I talking. You know?
Yeah, it's so true. Getting uh just understanding how we can contribute back and forth, like just through the process
Yeah.
we're going through here. So tell us a little bit about the books that you've written. Of first your process, and you've got to have some type of process. Writing 5 books, I've written one. It's hard enough to write one.
Yeah.
And looking at my second, um, how were you able to get these book written? What were the what are the topics? Tell us a little bit more about those.
Okay. So my first book was a screenplay. I was in television, and I wrote a screenplay because I was a total movie buff.
Okay.
I went to triple features. I watched half an hour, then went to the other, watched the second half hour back. When the multiplexes were, in those
Right.
times, I was at like 20, 22, 23, 4. I sucked in all the movies that I could. And then I wrote screenplays, and then I wrote one screenplay that I found that was very inspirational, about two brothers, because that was also, I think we all do that, we learn ourselves. You become a psychiatrist because you want to know yourself. You do the podcast to learn about yourself. So it's everything we do is learning about yourself. So I had it about, I'm a child of four kids, and I have observed certain things about family and whatever. And this was about two brothers. One was very system relevant and one wasn't. See, I mean, that comes right now. I mean, I wasn't even aware of that. And about a woman, and the system guy dumped the woman, and the guy was a friend of her, fell in love with her, and then whatever, and happy ending and whatever. So I did that. Then
This is Dangerous Blood. Dangerous Blood, right?
Dangerous Blood.
Dangerous Blood, now
Yeah.
available on Amazon. So
Yeah.
go check it out. I'm looking at it right now. So it's a good price.
As a matter of fact, I had it in pre-production with Robert Evans before he passed. He was he's the producer of Godfather and a friend. He was a real good friend to me, and a super decent person. He wanted to do this kind of like a swan song, because the story is kind of a love story, between love story and Fatal Attraction. So that he wanted to do this, but he passed away while we had pre-produced it.
The romantic action mystery thriller, all about opposites in competition leading to a hazardous game. So
yeah,
I love Audible. I would download this now and listen to it, because we got to get an audio book on this, Michaell.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great. It's a fun story, and it's like, and it's entertaining.
Yeah.
And then I did. I went a lot in museums and stuff, and I had a sense of feeling. I always could see context. With my dyslexia, you can see context. You see the big picture. And I didn't like how people, and I read everything, how to place art. And then also I was arts commissioner of Newport Beach. So I was elected arts commissioner. So I really wanted the book, and I saw that the people they learned this in school, but then it's not enough what you learn in school. It's almost like, there's a nail and a hammer, but it never shows you how to hammer a nail into the wood.
Right.
So what you learn about hanging and placing art and lighting art and doing art, to get the maximum out of it, is basically, hey, there's a nail, there's a hammer, you know what to do. And nobody shows you how to work them. And I show you in that public art, how to place public art, how to place any art for that matter. And the quintessential thing is that you don't have to buy the book. You can just, the quintessential, any art should be hung that you get the feeling, if you want to connect to that art and you want to get the maximum out of, so you can walk into the painting. So more lower than higher, hang out a little bit lower than higher. That gives you the feeling you could just keep walking into the painting, whatever it is. So that's the quintessential thing of that, and a lot of other things too. But the quintessential thing is that. Then I wrote a German book, and then I wrote. I'm from Vienna, Austria, so when I came 18 years here, with 18 years here, I escaped the system of Austria to be in the free, quote unquote, in America. And that worked for me also. That helped me survive. And then I wrote the Smart of Art. That is. Oh, I wrote another book. The Inspiration. I did an art project where I did 300 paintings in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to challenge myself, and I want to see if that's possible, and if you run out of ideas. And actually, I found, which a lot of science actually afterwards confirmed, that when you, I was thinking, the last 100 or the last 50 must be nothing. And I found it got better and better. It didn't get worse. It got better and better. And you would never experience that. Everybody says, I have no idea, whatever. And I was seeing the same thing. And I got better and better, and more came. So the more the pressure was on, not the pressure on myself, my own pressure, because I don't have to do them, but the better the paintings became. And then I did my last book, which was basically separating what we know as art, which is a system. It's selling the products. It's a Walmart for art. And the art creation. That's what we talked about before, about creating something, a podcast, creating your business, creating whatever you create, that there's so much power in that, and that people become aware. There's no step programs, there's nothing to do, nothing to learn. That's why I like podcasts so much. I have no steps to do. I say, just be aware. There's 3 superpowers: creativity, good, healthy dialogue, and adaptability, and just see how that works. My podcast is not even a podcast. My podcast is 30 seconds quotes, just that people think about it. And I believe that we can all do it together. Like, I learn from you, you learn from me, and that there's no steps, there is no system for that.
And thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that, Michael. Tell me, if somebody is, you come from the artist background. I know this is more of a broad question. It might be a hard one to answer, but starting out saying, I really am connecting with what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out, what do I do? I don't fit in any of these systems. What advice would you give somebody like that?
Go back to the idea that I said, that in nature you have a purpose. Try to unveil you. Don't look for Nate to tell you or Michael to tell you. Look, where's your value? Where do you feel most comfortable? You have senses and feelings, and it's the self-discovery, the self-awareness. How, if this is a fact, you're not worthy more or less. The system says you're worth more and less. In nature, the elephant isn't worth more. When you're totally, like you just explained, and you would say, where am I going? I don't know what to do. So first you have to accept that truth, which you see in nature. You exist, you have value, like you and me. In systems, you don't have that value. In systems, you and I can have different value, but you have value because you exist. And nobody has more or less, because you're part of it. You're part of humanity, of the human fabric. And what I suggest is you start observing yourself. You're not thinking, don't learn, don't keep no more knowledge. That's all taking you out of who you are. A great guy told me, make your mind. He said, I read all newsletters, every email, all this stuff. Until I said I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore. I wanted to be knowing. I'm a coach. I wanted to know all the stuff about this and this and this. And I said, stop it. And he said the verbiage. I love the verbiage. I had to make my mind a blank canvas. That is unbelievable. I had to make my mind because the mind takes you out of what you are, of the being. It keeps you in the doing. So we need to not think more, but think less and be in the body. Your brain, your observation of reality is not just in the brain. It's your whole body. You feel, you smell, that's why we call it not human doings, we call it human beings. And guess what? All these senses are stimulated by art. That's why art is such a superpower, because it's not defined. You can't just, once you know a bicycle, you know a bicycle. So you have it already in your mind. But if I show you a color and say, what the hell is this? That's where the juice is. Wow, oh my God, this is a song. Look what they do. I've never heard something like that. That's where the power is, in the fresh, in the new. Now, how can you, every system copies only. We need to copy, obviously, because when one person breaks his leg, we need to know what to do, So it's not a bad thing, but the joy of life is tasting the new wine, having a new relationship that you like, enjoying the new fresh stuff. I mean, you can sense it here. We like each other.
Yeah.
And that's what life is about. Meeting a new person, even if we stop and never see each other. But this experience with you is enriching, and there's no price for it. You can't put it, oh my God, I think that's worth $50, you and I. It's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's an experience. It's the awareness. I tell you, we're not in the crisis of, oh, we need new technology. We need to save the world. The world doesn't need saving. Nature doesn't need saving. Days go on. We need to save ourselves. And ourselves is, our savior in ourselves is in awareness, being conscious. Oh my God, yes. We are all one. We all can contribute to each other. Oh, what happened?
It's giving me the air. Means we don't have much time left, I guess. The system is telling us, Michael.
You break it up too.
I said the system is telling us we have to.
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can see you too.
I think the system is telling us that we're almost to the end. So
okay.
Can you tell us about any mentors you've had in your life, Michael, that helped you along the way?
Nate, this is such a good question, because I always think, did I have mentors, and I didn't. I didn't have any, because I couldn't fit, I had friends, a lot of friends. I mentor, actually, my podcast and all this stuff is to mentor, because mentoring is very important in art. And I think also in true life, but I think it's known for in art that people mentor each other. But there's almost no mentoring, because the system has so taken over the art business system that nobody wants to waste time, quote unquote, system time to mentor anything. I really have never had an artist teaching me. My uncle is a master painter, and he was my uncle, but we didn't he didn't take me on the hand and say, come on, Michael, let's paint this,
And
but I mean, he talked to me, but
and what I like is you see the things that aren't working, and you're saying, I'm going to try to make it better, rather than let's be stuck and complain about the world's just a bad place. I'm going to try to make it better. And that's what I've appreciated about this conversation and what you do through the books you've written. There's a lot of value that you bring there. It's pretty fascinating. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the Journey podcast today. There's so much here to unpack. We could probably have a couple of episodes just
Yeah,
talking.
we should.
I think we've really painted quite the canvas here today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
couple rapid fire questions. Are
Go
there
ahead.
any books you would recommend to the audience today that they should go read?
Yes. Yes. Uh, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Okay.
And then the other one is Breathe. It's I don't know what's that I don't know the author. It's a yellow book. It's called Breathe.
Breathe.
And that helped me with my dyslexia and with ADHD, and it helps also any human because it's coming in. It forces you into the body. If you look it up, it's breath, and it's a yellow book.
Breathe, The New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor.
Exactly. James Nestor is an unbelievable. Also, Patrick McEwen from Ireland. It's both are in this book, and they have done techniques that bring you in the moment. They make you work. That that you function, that you can reset and balance. Because I think the power is not money, it's not power over, it's the power, it's the balance. The humans are the most, you find this is another tip for the guy that you said that is lost. Balance, do everything in balance. Your maximum power is in balance. You need to sleep, and you need to be aware about this. You need to sleep, you need to rest, you need to laugh, you need to be with other humans to balance. Because systems are 24/7, and we are adaptable, and we adapt and say, oh my God, and so we're almost shaming ourselves because the systems work 24/7. And when it comes to us, we need to sleep. Nature has seasons. Women have periods. We have cycles. We need to honor those cycles. We need to honor that we need to sleep. I don't want to hear somebody saying, I get out with four hours of sleep. You know that is bullshit unless you are meditating that 4 hours, or you just 4 hours of sleep just are not enough, and everybody will tell you that. But even if everybody tells you, I tell you it's not a thing because you make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that that's like the homework that people work from home from COVID? Every research, they wanted to ban it because they want people back in the businesses. Every research they did, every single research, there's not a single research that says, hey, it's better to be at work all the time. It's better to go, when you have a team meeting or so, to be in person. All say working at home has increased productivity, lower mistakes, and retain information better, and not so much having Google searches to figure out stuff. It's amazing when we trust, I do, this is the day. I don't want to keep going, but the true north for me is humanity and nature, and whatever comes afterwards, and creative, but humanity and nature, and you find that as a tool in art. So when you just play with art, not with the art business and not with art history, just play with what makes you feel good, you are on the way. That's simple. It's that simple.
And Michaell, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today on the Journey podcast. It's truly interesting to learn about your journey, and I think we're just scratching the surface of it. And maybe we'll have to have a part 2 at some point. Tell the listeners where they can find you online. You've got this great website. Tell us a little bit about those and your social medias.
Yeah. Everything about me you find on one hub. It's called michaellm.com, and Michaell with 2 L's, michaellm.com. And you find everything there. My social, my phone number, my email, everything. This is my hub, all my socials, my books, my podcasts, my paintings, my music, everything you find to this one hub, michaellm.com, Michaell with 2 L's.
Right. Awesome website, michaellm.com. michaellmagrutsche.com. It's got his books there, his some of his portfolio of his art and podcast. It's just a great portfolio and website that you've got there, Michael. I do appreciate you spending some time with us today and helping paint this canvas of the Journey podcast yet again. Just another great guest that we have today. I hope that you continue to create, and we'll bring you back here to see where you're at and the next steps in your journey.
Absolutely, Nate. You were a gent and a great human being. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thanks so much, Michael. You have a great day.
You too.